Hi, everyone. Thanks for hopping on to our EL professional development. My name is Jenna Ford. I am a special education teacher at Scottsburg Middle School. I'm also the licensed EL teacher here in Scott 2. I'm here with Stacy Dorio. She is our teacher of service. She is the one who is servicing our EL students. And the purpose of our professional development today is to just give everyone some groundwork for continuing to work with our EL students. And also, as you know, what works for one student, what is good for one student is usually good for all of our students. So let's get started. EL 101, these are just some terms that you might see throughout this presentation or also while working with your EL students. ELL is English language learner. You might also hear ESL, English as a second language, or ENL, English as a new language. This is a term that tends to continue to evolve, but right now English language learner is what they're using. ILP is an individualized learning plan. You might have seen these before from some of your students. It's very similar to an IEP. The purpose of it is to provide the student's language level and then also the accommodations that would be appropriate. A newcomer is a student K through 12 who's born outside of the United States and has arrived within the last 3 years. WIDA is our assessment that the state uses to measure our English language proficiency. There are 4 domains, and they're scored in reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and they're given a score between 1 and 6. And students can exit the program at 5, but then they are monitored for the next 2 years, and they get a score in each of those categories. And lastly, you might hear us talk about can-dos. The can-dos are statements that guide us and tell us what a student should be able to do at each WIDA level within reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Mrs. Dorio is going to talk a little bit about our program here at Scott 2.
Sheltered structured immersion is the model that we use here, and this model takes place in the general education classroom alongside their English-speaking peers, and content is taught in English with home language support. Lessons should be adapted to match students' English proficiency levels, and they are given these levels when they take the WIDA test. Strategies such as visual supports, modeling, modified assignments and assessments, and structured instruction are used to make both the language and the academic content understandable for our EL students. The goal of this model is for students to have access to grade level learning while developing their English skills.
Something else we want to briefly mention is EL law. So very similar to special education, our EL students have legal rights, and their ILPs are considered legal documents as well, and they must be implemented. And this is regardless of immigration status. We're required to provide education to all of our students. And these are just some prominent education acts that have taken place in regards to EL, with the most recent one taking place in 2000. So did you know this is some more information about our district specifically with Scott 2. So we have around 40 K through 12 students receiving EL services. The languages spoken, Spanish, Gujarati, and Hindi. And just for context, if you're curious, JCPS has around 20,000 EL students, and they have languages of up to 150 different ones spoken. And so what we kind of speculate is happening is there's a heavy EL population in Louisville, there's a heavy EL population in Seymour, and they're kind of meeting in the middle in Scottsburg. And we think that might be why our numbers have grown over the last couple years. Even if you were born in the US, you can still be an English language learner. We look at home language, or you might hear it referred to as L1, which is language 1. It takes 5 to 7 years to become fully fluent, and experts actually recommend that grade level instruction is taught alongside English skills. A big part of EL education is making sure that our students are properly placed with their peers and are receiving that grade level instruction, and they pick up their English skills along the way. And also academic language and conversational language, those are considered separate skills. If you have EL students in your classroom, this might be something that you notice. They might be able to have a really great conversation in English, but when it comes to maybe having those academic discussions, their skills might not seem as strong. These are some best classroom practices. So the biggest thing is just getting to know your EL students. Occasionally, you might see behaviors from EL students, and this could just be them trying to mask not knowing the language or maybe being unfamiliar with the environment. And really, the best approach to this is familiarizing yourself with their language skill level and considering if that would play a factor into maybe the behaviors that they're showing. Also, cultural background can play a very major part. As we know, schools and teachers are viewed differently in different cultures, and also classroom environments are different in different cultures. So it's important to get to know your students and know what culture and what background they come from. Making sure that you familiarize yourself with the WIDA scoring scale. This is something that can be found in our EL Hub. It's going to be linked in our Google form that you will finish after this presentation. It's also linked in this presentation itself. Find ways to accommodate assignments and assessments. I think what's important to note is we don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can accommodate what you've already created pretty simply, and there are a lot of resources also linked in the hub. Make sure you familiarize yourself with an appropriate grading scale for EL students because we're looking to grade for content knowledge, not language skills. It's not ethical to grade them based on their English if they do not have English skills because we are trying to assess for content. And lastly, know your resources. We talked about the hub, and then we are also available too if you have any questions. Myself, Mrs. Dorio, or Christy Davis, we're all available if you have questions. And then again, there's that link to that EL hub. For the rest of this professional development, there is a short video that kind of provides the perspective of an EL student in our classes. We just ask that you watch that. It's about 3 minutes, and then there are 2 questions. Do you have EL students in your classroom? And it asks what model we use here in Scott 2 to support our ELs. Lastly, if you have any questions or comments that you would like to leave for us, that's also listed in our Google form. Thank you for taking the time to participate in this professional development, and please reach out if you need anything. Thank you.